I'm Owen, and this video shows you how my dad modified his Saltarell piano accordion to reduce the volume of the bass reeds. He won't alter the keyboard because he's happy with how the treble reeds sound. It's just the bass reeds that he wants to change to quiet them down so the bass does not overpower the melody. This diagram shows the Stradella layout of the 60 bass buttons on the Saltarell box. The top row of buttons is the first row, next row down is the second row, and so forth. There are 5 rows of buttons, with the first row being closest to the bellows. Rows 1 and 2 give a single note, with each note sounding 2 reeds that are an octave apart. The 3 bottom rows of buttons are set up as triad chords, meaning 3 different notes sound together. Row 3 contains major triads, row 4 has minor triads, and row 5 has diminished triads. In my dad's Saltarell accordion, each of the notes that sound in any given triad are doubled to produce a unison sound. For example, the C major triad uses 2 C notes of the same pitch, 2 E notes of the same pitch, and 2 G notes, same pitch, or CC, EE, GG. There are 2 objectives. One is to eliminate the lower note of all of the octave sounding reeds in rows 1 and 2. The other objective is to eliminate the extra unison reeds in all the triad rows 3, 4, and 5. This should greatly reduce the volume of the left-hand bass buttons. Okay, here's how my dad made the alterations, and then you can listen to the before and after sounds. Removing the entire bass box. Now removing the taller reed box, which houses rows 1 and 2. The opening is where the air from the bellows passes through, sounding the 2 octave reeds. Let's press a button in row 2, and you can see there are 2 dampers activated by this button, sounding the high and low notes of the octave together. Using thin blue tape, my dad carefully taped over the holes to block the lower octave notes to all buttons in rows 1 and 2. Putting the bass box into place. Here's the sound of bass row 1 before the alterations. You're hearing an octave being sounded for each note. Now here's the sound of row 1 after the alteration. Only the single reed in the higher octave sounds. Much quieter. Before and after of the second row of buttons. Here the bass section has been removed, and now the shorter reed box, which houses all the triad chords, is being removed. You'll see that there is a double row of spaces where the air from the bellows can pass through, and the double rows are meant to allow 2 reeds per note to sound. So the default is extra oomph in the triad chords, and again, not the desired sound. With one hole taped shut, here is the blow draw sound when the opening is covered, to make sure a note sounds whether the bellows is being pushed or pulled. Next, half of the 12 double openings of the diatonic scale have been taped shut, so that only one reed sounds at a time. Replacing the triad reed box with the taped holes. Here is the sound of triad bass row number 3 before the alterations. You're hearing 2 reeds sounding in unison for each note. Now here's the sound of triad row 3 after the alteration. Only single reeds are sounding. Much quieter. Triad row 4 comparison. Triad row 5 comparison. Playing a tune before bass rows 1 and 2 were altered. Same tune after rows 1 and 2 and triads altered. That's it.